With week 3 coming to an end, it is time to score a touchdown with every single week 3 winning team in Madden 23. As we always do, we are starting things off with Thursday Night Football, and it was an AFC North matchup between the Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not going to lie, didn't watch most of this game. I wasn't very interested in either of these teams. Not great offenses. Wasn't going to be an offensive shootout, but a solid game from what I saw, from what I heard about this game. Amari Cooper had his breakout game as a member of the Cleveland Browns. Nick Chubb is going to do what Nick Chubb does, and that is run the ball in for touchdowns. And I definitely want to score this touchdown with Nick Chubb. So let's hustle back up to the line. Do I have him out here or Scream Hunt out here? It is actually Nick Chubb, so let's throw a screen pass. But the Browns are still looking good in the AFC North. If they could just get a solid record by the time Deshaun Watson gets back, they can make a playoff push. The AFC, you can get in as a wild card. I think the Ravens or the Bengals will probably still have this division. But then after that, the Browns are right behind. I would say the Steelers probably going to come in last place this year. We'll see if Kenny Pickett's going to get a start in the near future. Trubisky hasn't been great, but he also hasn't been horrible. I would just play the rookie if I'm them, probably within the next couple weeks. Now we had the battle for the AFC East #1 spot right now between the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. And let me know what you think about this game. What do you take away from this game? Tua, the Dolphins, they didn't look amazing on offense, but they made the plays when they had to. They scored the points that they needed to. But it was the Dolphins defense that bended, but they didn't break throughout the entire game. Because if you look on paper at this game, it looks like the Bills probably ran away with this game. I think they doubled the Dolphins' yardage. They doubled their time of possession, but they lose by 2 points. And that's going to happen when you have all those injuries on the defensive side of the ball. They're going to be missing Micah Hyde throughout the entire season. That is a huge hit to the Bills defense. I still would say they're the favorite in the AFC. Josh Allen didn't have a great game, didn't have a horrible game by any means either, but there'll be better days ahead for the Buffalo Bills. I ain't expecting them to lose this game. There's Tyreek Hill with a touchdown. Tyreek didn't do much in this game. Waddle was pretty contained as well, except for a couple deep passes. This is going to be an interesting division. The Bengals had their best game of the season, finally picking up a win here against the Jets. The Jets, after that comeback against the Browns in week 2, finally turned back into the New York Jets. Joe Flacco didn't look amazing like he looked in that comeback against the Browns. You had T. Higgins making an insane catch, but again, takes a huge hit. Who knows if he's going to be banged up for the next couple of weeks, if he's going to have a concussion this time, and he's not going to be able to play in week 4 for the Bengals. I think Joe Mixon got banged up as well as Joe Burrow on this QB draw. Can't find the end zone. Jamar Chase didn't have a great game. The Bengals defense played really good. They played a solid game. They still have a lot of room for improvement if they want to beat a team like the Baltimore Ravens in their division, because Lamar is literally on a mission. When we get to the Ravens game, we'll talk about that even more. Lamar is the MVP right now through 3 weeks, so the Bengals are still going to have to catch up. Titans and Raiders up next, and another game I don't know what to take away from these two teams. I mean, Derrick Henry looking good is something they desperately needed in Tennessee, because he did not have a very good first 2 games. They did have a bad matchup in week 2 against the Bills. In week 1 against the Giants, they give up that comeback to Daniel Jones and my Giants, who I don't think had any business winning that game on arcade mode. Derrick Henry's ridiculous, by the way. I don't think the Giants should have won that game against Tennessee, but we won that game, and tonight we're going for 3-0. I'm recording this before Monday Night Football, but the Titans finally get a win, which is huge. You need Derrick Henry to look good. If Derrick Henry is looking good, then the Titans offense could roll, opens up the play action for the Titans on the ground. Obviously, they're going to be great, but what about the Raiders, man? I don't think they're as bad as an 0-3 team. They lost a very close game against the Chargers in week 1. Then in week 2, they give up a choke to the Arizona Cardinals. They should not have lost that game. So I don't know what to take away from the Raiders especially, but if the Titans can get that run game going with Derrick Henry, they should be pretty decent as that's broken up. The AFC South is wide open right now through 3 weeks. It's not one of the better divisions in football, so I could definitely see the Titans coming back and making a run towards that division win. I still like the Colts in that division, but we'll see. For the Carolina Panthers, I've been saying since the beginning of the season, the Panthers defense is no joke. I mean, the Saints offense, Jameis Winston definitely has some issues. He's looking like Tampa Bay Buccaneers Jameis Winston right now, throwing the ball in some bad situations. But the scoop and score for the Panthers helped to get started in that game against the Saints. Their offense still not amazing, but I really like their defense, and they still have offensive weapons. McCaffrey hasn't seen his best games. DJ Moore hasn't seen his best games this season yet. So I think the Panthers definitely have a case to be one of the better teams in the NFC South. I think it's going to be way closer than people think because of the injuries Cowboys in Tampa Bay, and then the Panthers getting the win against the Saints team. So don't sleep on the Panthers in the NFC South, honestly. Even though their offense isn't amazing, their defense is good, and their offense is pretty solid. They'll get it going. Real quick, everyone, before we get back into the video, only about 6% of the people watching right now are actually subscribed to the channel. So if you're enjoying the content you are seeing, make sure to subscribe. But let's get back into the video. This is a game I'm pretty excited to talk about, and a player I'm pretty excited to talk about, and that's Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he's the MVP in my book through 3 weeks. This guy proves that he can throw the ball through the air this year. He looks really good, obviously, on the ground, which we expected. Unfortunately, I had to play him in fantasy this week, so I'm sure you guys all know how my fantasy matchup went. He dropped 40 points on me. My fantasy team, man, I am dropping some good points, but I can't get lucky. I keep playing the players or the teams that are dropping the most points in fantasy. But Lamar Jackson, the offense looked amazing. I didn't expect the Patriots to score as many points as they did in this game because they have their defensive coordinator from a few years ago calling offensive plays. So I thought the Patriots offense would really pretty much score only about 13 points against this Ravens team. But Lamar Jackson, man, they are the team to beat in the AFC North right now. With Lamar Jackson playing like this, the Ravens made a mistake not paying him before the beginning of the season. They're going to pay for that at the end. This game between the Vikings and the Lions was a fun game. I like the Vikings this year, as you guys know if you've been watching before the season started. I like the Vikings to win the NFC North. I still feel pretty good about that, but after they got stomped by the Eagles in week 2, I had to see them prove it to me in week 3. Now they got off to a very slow start, I'm not gonna lie. In week number 3 against the Lions took the lead, and they don't want to throw the ball to Justin Jefferson anymore. They don't want him to Gritty anymore. I don't know what happened. Kirk Cousins decided after week 1, when he goes off for almost 200 yards, 40 fantasy points for my team, he's like, I'm not gonna throw the ball to Justin Jefferson anymore. I'm not going to throw it to my best player. I don't know what's happening with that. They're going to have to scheme ways for Justin Jefferson to get open, but with them picking up the win, they're still in the lead right now in the NFC North. We'll see what happens the next time they play the Packers, who look decent against the Buccaneers, but they're still struggling on offense. We'll talk about the Packers when we get there, but the Lions, they play with heart. They're in every single game. Going back to last year, I still really like the Lions. I told you guys, don't sleep on the Lions this year. Would not surprise me if they win about 6 or 7 games, maybe even 8 games for this team. And let's see a gritty Justin Jefferson, because they don't want to let you gritty anymore in real life. We're going to have to do it in the video game. Eagles and Commanders now, and all I can say about this is that the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. Not even close. The Eagles are by far the best team in the NFC. They are the favorite in the NFC right now to go to the Super Bowl. They might be the favorite in the entire NFL to win the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts proving everybody wrong right now. He looks amazing. Their offensive line looks amazing. Devontae Smith has gone crazy the last 2 weeks. Their running game looks amazing. Their defensive line playing amazing. Their offensive line is very good too. Their secondary, they are the best team. They're the most well-rounded team in the NFL, in my opinion. I do not want to play the Eagles if I'm any other NFL team. Now we move to Colts Chiefs, and it really is any given Sunday though. Even though I was just praising the Eagles, guys, like it really is any given Sunday. Any team can beat any team, because did you expect the Chiefs to go into Indianapolis and lose? Oh my, Jonathan Taylor, to lose to the Indianapolis Colts after last week the Colts lose 24-0 in Jacksonville. Jacksonville looks pretty solid, but they're not the Kansas City Chiefs, and then they beat the Chiefs in their home opener. It just makes no sense. Now we have Bears-Texans, not one of the more exciting games, I would say, of NFL week number 3, because neither of these teams are expected to probably make the playoffs, but you have the Bears picking up a win. Now the Bears cannot pass the ball at all. They just can't pass. I think they have less than 500 yards passing between 3 weeks. That is not good if you're an NFL team. And they're 2-1, so I guess that's a bright side. They can run the ball, though. They can definitely run the ball. I'm not going to score quite yet because I'm still talking about this game, but they can run the ball very, very well. Khalil Herbert looked amazing. I believe Montgomery went out on an injury, so Khalil Herbert looked really good, but they can run it with Montgomery. They can run it with Herbert, and obviously, they can run it with Justin Fields. As for the Texans, they're in every single game, too. They just can't finish. They can't buy a win. Davis Mills with a very costly interception at the end of the game that had a chance to win the game. Unfortunately, he throws an interception. The Bears kick a game-winning field goal. Now we have Chargers-Jaguars. Now let me talk about the Chargers very quickly. I still don't think they're as bad as a 1-2 record would indicate them to be. Their defense is still amazing. Now Joey Bosa goes out with an injury, a significant groin injury from what I've seen, so that's definitely going to hurt them. But they still have a lot of pieces on defense, so they should be okay. But on offense, Justin Herbert has cracked ribs, fractured ribs, whatever it is. So he wasn't going to play at 100%. They still don't have Keenan Allen. So I would say the Chargers are better than a 1-2 record. But let's talk Jaguars. James Robinson, after tearing his Achilles, comes back and is an absolute stud. I picked him in fantasy in the 11th round, so I'm getting a sick value there. Christian Kirk, picked him in the 9th round. I was all Jags going into this season. He's playing amazing as well. So this Jags offense, I told you Trevor Lawrence is better than people were giving him credit for. Trevor Lawrence is not a bad quarterback. He just needed offensive weapons. Kirk's living up to the contract. The defense also playing amazing. The Jags are the best team in the South right now. For the Rams-Cardinals game, the Rams own the Arizona Cardinals. Cooper Kupp scores touchdowns. No surprise there. The Cardinals are missing DeAndre Hopkins. I said that last week. They need DeAndre Hopkins to make that offense better. Once he comes back, I do think the Cardinals can make a run, get a few wins, and maybe get a wild card spot. But for right now, it's all on Kyler Murray, and I think Hollywood Brown had 17 targets in that game, which is just ridiculous. If that doesn't show you they need more offensive weapons in Arizona and they need DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, it's self-explanatory for you guys, but the Rams look good. Their offense could have been better. Cooper Kupp could have had 2 touchdowns, dropped the touchdown wide open in the end zone. You don't see that very often. Packers-Buccaneers up next, and a boring game, I would say, when you have quarterbacks such as Tom Brady. I was almost throwing a pick right there. When you have quarterbacks like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, 2 of the best quarterbacks of all time, you expect fireworks every time they match up, but you can just tell Tampa Bay's completely banged up. They had no weapons, no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin, didn't even have Julio Jones. Their best receiver was Russell Gage, who got an absurd amount of targets. I don't want to score yet because I do want to talk a little bit about this game. An absurd amount of targets for Russell Gage. And then on the other side, the Packers, no Devontae Adams. They already needed a number 1 receiver, so Allen Lazard got a touchdown. I think Romeo Dobbs or Doves, I'm not sure exactly how to say his name. Let me know in the comments down below. He gets a touchdown, a lot of fantasy points for him. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon couldn't get much going against the Tampa Bay defense. Can't really take much from this game because the Bucs were shorthanded on offense and the Packers just aren't very good on offense. Now we're going to have the Falcons and the Seahawks. And the Seahawks, I feel like, played their Super Bowl in week 1 against Russell Wilson, picking up that win. I didn't think Seattle was going to be a great team, so they fall to 1-2 now. They did play decently this week, so I'm not going to say they got blown out. They played horribly. It came down to the wire, so it easily could have went either way. But I think Seattle's going to be a bad team, so 1-2 makes sense for them. On the other side, though, we have the Falcons, who could easily, and I mean easily, be 2-1 if they didn't give back a comeback to the New Orleans Saints in week 1. And they honestly could be 3-0 if they came back. They completed that clutch comeback up against the Rams, but you don't see the Falcons coming back. You see them blowing leads to other teams, so you didn't really expect them to come back against the Rams, but they could be 3-0. They're not bad in the NFC South either. I talked about the Panthers. Don't sleep on them in the NFC South. Don't sleep on the Falcons. Cordell Patterson, man, plays so good this year and last year. Finally found a home with this Atlanta Falcons team after bouncing from team to team. Let's roll out with Mariota and find the end zone here. Looks like they're getting Kyle Pitts going in Atlanta too. My guy Drake London on my fantasy team. Don't sleep on the Falcons. Sunday Night Football was one of the worst football games I've ever watched. I'm just going to be honest. One of the worst football games I have ever watched. Punt, 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 punt from both teams. Both teams were terrible offensively. I promise you Coach Suggestions in Madden could call a better game than Nathaniel Hackett in Denver right now. I promise you their offense will be better if they use Coach Suggestions in Madden. They don't know what they're doing with Russell Wilson. They do not know what they're doing on offense in Denver. I don't know why. I don't know what the problem is. You saw Russell Wilson maybe dial in a little bit of vintage Russell Wilson to get that 1 touchdown drive for them. But other than that, in the first 3 games, they are not good on offense whatsoever. The 49ers, their defense did play very, very good. You still have to get Jimmy Garoppolo implemented here. I believe they said he didn't even get a playbook going at the training camp because they thought he was going to get traded. So he's still learning the offense for this year. Now, obviously, he's played on this team for a couple years, but there are plays that change. I still think the 49ers are a very solid team, but the Broncos need to get something going on offense because their defense is playing really good. Now we have Monday Night Football, and you're watching this on Tuesday, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be available to record on Tuesday to actually watch this game and then tell you guys who won and talk about the game a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to score a touchdown with the Giants and the Cowboys in this video. Now, we're going to talk about the game, what I think is going to happen, and then you let me know how wrong I was about the game in the comments down below. So let's do Giants first. They are 2-0. They are the home team here. And if Saquon Barkley can get going on the ground, if the Giants defense can play as good as they have been in the first 2 weeks, the Giants can come away with a win. If the Giants go 3-0, I don't even know what to say, because as a Giants fan, I thought they might get 4 or 5 wins if we're lucky this year. If they go 3-0, I don't even know what's going to happen. It makes no sense. Now, when we talk about the Cowboys, obviously Cooper Rush is their quarterback, but I don't think he's that far of a drop-off from Daniel Jones. As a Giants fan, I'm going to say that. Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback. So it's really defense against defense. Which team turns the ball over more is going to lose the game. So if they can go ahead and force some turnovers on Daniel Jones, which he's definitely going to make at some point, either Micah Parsons ripping the ball, a strip sack, because Daniel Jones loves to fumble the ball, the Cowboys can win this game. They have a better roster offensively as well. CeeDee Lamb doesn't look like Michael Gallup is going to play, but you have Zeke, you have Tony Pollard. I would say that they're a better roster offensively than the Giants because you have that superstar #1 receiver in CeeDee Lamb. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I would say the Cowboys are going to win it, even though I'm a Giants fan. I think the Cowboys are the better team. They have the better defensive player in Micah Parsons. I guess I'm running a read option with Cooper Rush. I don't know how that winded up happening. Let's just give the ball to Zeke. Let him eat a little bit. They got to get Zeke and Pollard going on the ground, though. They do need to let Micah just go crazy defensively today. He has to go crazy. He has to force some turnovers for this team to win. Can Ferguson find the end zone? Yes, he can. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite game of week 3 was. That's going to do it for the video, everyone. If you enjoyed it, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. In the comments down below, let me know what challenge, what video do you want to see next. Peace.